We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin. The Russian invasion of Ukraine continues. Every major international leader except President Xi of China has condemned the attack. While the United States has increased sanctions and sent more troops to NATO countries, a recent poll showed that 53% of Americans feel Biden is not being tough enough on Russia. There is good news, however. It looks like the Russians, as well as the rest of the world, has underestimated the resolve of the Ukrainian and Russian people. Thousands of Russians took to the streets to protest their country's invasion of Ukraine. 1,800 Russian citizens were arrested in these protests. As you may know, street protests in Russia are illegal, and yet thousands of people came out to make their voices heard that they do not support their own country's invasion. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army has held up better than expected. The Russian invasion is not going as smoothly as Putin hoped. Their troops are facing greater than expected resistance. Ukraine is now supplementing its military with civilian militia who are also fighting the Russian troops. Civilians are lining up to get weapons from the military so they can defend their homes and contribute to the fight against Russia. Over 18,000 weapons were handed out just today. This is not to say that Putin is not a danger. He has indicated that he intends to take Ukraine and has made comments that he wants to push into Poland and the Baltic states. That would bring him into direct conflict with NATO, and America would be obligated to send troops to defend our NATO allies. Putin has said he wants regime change in Ukraine. He is attempting to install a puppet regime, as Russia had in Ukraine in the past. The problem he faces is that the Ukrainian people are the ones that kicked out his previous puppet regime. The Ukrainian military will not follow a puppet regime, so Putin will need to keep an occupying force in Ukraine to keep his puppet in place. This would prolong the conflict and make it a lot more bloody. Another situation of great concern is that Russia has taken the area around Chernobyl. Our listeners will remember Chernobyl as the site of the worst nuclear accident in history. While this gives Russia another route to attack the capital city of Kiev, it also gives them easy access to nuclear materials and nuclear waste that were stored there. If pushed far enough, would Putin consider using dirty bombs? Additionally, as sanctions chip away at the Russian economy, would Putin consider selling that nuclear material to terrorist groups to keep his war bankrolled? We don't have an answer to this, but it is a major concern. Ukraine is also taking actions to help fund their efforts. Ukraine is crowdfunding to raise money for its armed forces as it faces down one of the biggest militaries in the world. National Bank of Ukraine set up a special account on Thursday where people from around the world can send money in major currencies to Ukrainian soldiers. Come Back Alive, a nonprofit based in Kiev, said it raised 20.5 million hryvnia, and I apologize for butchering the pronunciation of that. But that's the Ukrainian currency, and it is the equivalent of $673,000 in one day to support the Army. According to a Facebook post, Army SOS is accepting donations and equipping the military with new technology, such as tablets. Quote, "You helped the military more yesterday than you did in 2021." Come Back Alive posted on Wednesday. Now, the lack of a strong Western response is a danger not just to Ukraine, but in situations around the world. Putin stated that Ukraine, quote, "does not have the right to exist," unquote. That is the same language Iran and other terrorist states have been using referring to Israel. China is looking to take Taiwan in much the same way that Putin wants to reclaim Ukraine. These countries are watching the West's response as they plan their own actions. This is the largest attack in Europe since World War II. From Putin's statements, this is not going to end soon. That's the raw, naked truth. If you have a topic you'd like us to look into, you can contact us at xvadio.com/connect. You can catch this episode, as well as the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network, at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.